Welcome to YEM'S World. This is part 2 in our series of how to pray. Come on, y'all know how to pray? So in part 1 we talked about the Lord's Prayer, which many people will be familiar with. But this is going to be some tips. I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to actually execute the act of prayer. And so I hope that this is a blessing to you. Let's get into this right now. First of all, prayer, we have to understand that prayer is a conversation. Prayer is communication between you and Jesus Christ, your master, the Lord. Okay, so it's a conversation. Just literally look at prayer as a conversation that you're having with your best friend here on earth, or with your mother or father or sister or brother. That's all it is. It's just communication, right? It's just you talking to God, God talking back to you. So my first point here is this. Practice the art of listening. It's a fine art, and it's not an art that everybody has. Have you guys ever encountered that friend that only talks about themselves? I have a friend like that, and she would go on and on and on and on and on about whatever is going on with her, and she would never ask me about what was going on with me. And even sometimes when I would like try to interject and try to just squeeze in 1 or 2 words, she would totally, disregard what I was saying. Like, she just wasn't interested in what I had to say. Let's not be like that with God. Let's let God do most of the talking and let us do most of the listening, because don't you want to hear God speak? So, the way that I like to do that is I literally will sit in silence, and I have to kind of quiet my thoughts, like quiet myself down, literally calm myself down and just sit quietly and listen. Of course, when this is a new thing for you, there's going to be a lot of thoughts that are, swinging and flying across your mind. But you want to just kind of, as much as you can, ease out, ease it down, slow it down, quiet it down, and then ask the Lord, Lord, I'm quieting down. I want to hear you. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear you speak to me. Just speak to me, Lord. Just speak to me, Lord. Just speak to me, Lord. And just bring your whole atmosphere just to a low and quiet place. Because God says he speaks through the still small voice. So it's a very still, small, quiet voice. So if you want to hear a still, small voice, you yourself have to be still. You've got to be small. You've got to be quiet. You have to just bring yourself, just lower yourself down a little bit. Just humble yourself and just let God speak to you. So that's my first point, is practice the art of listening. Practice the art of listening. Literally practice every day for 2 minutes. If that's all you can spare when you're starting off, just say, okay, Lord, for 2 minutes, I'm not going to say a word, and I'm just going to listen. And just sit there and listen. And, as you do this over and over and over again, God will begin to speak. You'll have a spontaneous thought that pops in your head, and you'll say, okay. And then as you continue to do that, you'll see that God is actually speaking to you. So practice the art of listening. And that's, honestly, that goes for all relationships. We don't always have to be the one doing all the talking. Try listening. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, pray according to the Bible. Pray according to the scriptures. Listen, prayer is a lot easier when you don't have to figure out what to say yourself. Because, you've done that before, where you had a whole laundry list of things that you wanted to pray about, and then you did, and then you're like, okay. And you wanted to pray for 30 minutes, but you got through your list in 7, and you're like, okay, I don't know what else to pray. So pray according to the scriptures. And that way, that's like foolproof, right? Because God says he honors his word. He honors his word. His word he honors. He honors it even above his name. His word is so highly honored to him. And so if you give him his word, then he honors his word, regardless of where it's coming from. Like, he honors his own word. And so you pray according to the scriptures. Find a passage. I mentioned this in a previous video. One day I was reading Deuteronomy chapter 15, and it said, the first verse says, at the end of every 7 years there should be a release. And that verse literally, it jumped off the pages and like right in front of my face, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, Lord, I think you're telling me I need to release some things. I need to let go of some things. And so then I literally turned that into a prayer point. I said, okay, Lord, I believe that you're telling me that I'm holding on to some things, and you have given me the instruction and the liberty to release them. I don't have to hold on to them anymore. I can release it. So Father, help me to release. Help me to release. So there's some things that I'm holding on to that I don't want to let go of. Help me to release. There's some things that I don't need that I'm holding on to, Lord. Help me to release. So turn the scriptures into prayers. And that way it makes it so much easier. All right. Point number 3. Now this point, it's kind of a point 3, A and B, right? I kind of have 2 points here. First point is, and they may sound contradictory, but just hear me out. The first point is this: when you're praying, to the best of your ability, you want to find a specific place and a specific mode and a specific time that you set aside for prayer, so that when you get into that atmosphere, prayer just happens. So for instance, I used to do these prayer walks. I would go on these prayer walks. And so anytime, I would go on these prayer walks like at the same time every day at like noon. I would go on these prayer walks and I would walk around either my building or whatever. So after that, once it had become a habit, anytime I was walking, even when it wasn't that time, I was in that mode of prayer. So I would, like when I was walking around the building, I would feel inclined to pray because I had turned that specific time, that specific moment, that specific mode, I had turned that specific place into my place of prayer. So, some people have a prayer closet, and so every time you go into that prayer closet, you pray, because that's what you do in your prayer closet, you pray. And so it helps with training you to pray. When you have a specific place and a specific time and a specific mode, kind of a modus operandi for prayer, then you will pray. It just kind of comes naturally. Now, the part B of this point is this. The Bible says pray without ceasing. So that means you don't have to necessarily be in any place. You can pray at any time, at any place, anywhere, all the time, because the Bible says pray without ceasing. So on the one hand, yes, please find a place, a dedicated place of prayer, but then understand that at the same time, we can pray at any point in time. I can pray when I'm cooking, I can pray when I'm driving, I can pray while I'm at work, I can pray while I'm breastfeeding, I can pray while I'm doing whatever the countless things that I can do in a day. I can turn those moments into prayer. So yes, have a dedicated place of prayer, but also know that prayer can happen at any point in time. Just like when you're doing the dishes, somebody can call you, you can answer the phone, and you're still doing the dishes. Same thing with prayer. So I hope that those points were helpful for you today, and I hope that that will help to increase and to improve your prayer life. And yeah, let's do this. Let's go into 2021, prayer warriors, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me at YEM'S World. I'm so privileged to have you here. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section, and share the video. All right? Until next time.